Tests have been a running theme on the Revisited series as of late, and this episode will be no different. John Surtees, the British racing legend, will go down in history as one of the most versatile racing drivers ever to do it. This after he became the only man ever to win a motorcycle and Formula One World Championship. The Brit had 7 championships on 2 wheels to go with his 1964 F1 Championship victory with Ferrari. But since then, it's been quite the feat to achieve, evident by the fact that no one has even come close to doing so since. But if there was even one person that possessed the capabilities to make an attempt at replicating Surtees' feat, it was Valentino Rossi. And in the mid-2000s, Rossi, a multiple-time biking champion just like Surtees, had a taste at Formula One machinery. What started out as a mere test ended up showing the potential he possessed to one day become a star in Grand Prix racing. Here's the story. My name is Intern, I talk wheel, and this is Valentino Rossi's Ferrari Formula One test revisited. Alright, so usually I provide a backstory of the protagonist's career up to the point of the happenings of the topic, but probably not today. This is Valentino Rossi we're talking about. By the time the mid-2000s came around, he had already won numerous MotoGP World Championships and was going for more. But when he wasn't on 2 wheels, you could find him on 4. Valentino Rossi, despite already being a legend in MotoGP, had interests in other racing series, particularly car racing. Valentino had a love for rallying, and luckily enough, he got the opportunity to put his rally skills to the test on the world stage. He competed in Rally Wales in 2002 in a Peugeot 206 WRC car, but unfortunately he didn't make it to the finish. Rossi would still compete in rallies in his home country of Italy, mainly the Monza Rally Show. However, outside of rallying, Valentino had an interest in the pinnacle of motorsport, Formula One. Not only that, but Formula One had an interest in him. In 2004, Valentino pulled off one of his greatest feats yet. After winning 2 consecutive MotoGP championships with Honda, Rossi made the switch to the Yamaha team, a team that had finished 3rd in the Manufacturers' Championship in 2003 after scoring 0 wins and only 1 podium. Despite this, Valentino would turn everything around, winning the 2004 championship with Yamaha by a massive 47-point gap over Sete Gibernau with 9 wins and no finish lower than 4th. The Italian's amazing triumph caught the eye of another Italian on the 4-wheeled side of racing. This Italian's name was Stefano Domenicali. We know Domenicali today as the man that heads the Formula One group, with his many changes and ambitions for the sport, causing fans of F1 to paint him in different lights. However, back in 2004, Stefano worked for that bright red Italian brand. I'm talking about Ferrari. Domenicali was the sporting director of Scuderia Ferrari during the time in which Valentino had just won with Yamaha, and his title win had piqued his interest. Domenicali had offered Valentino a Formula One test at their test track in Fiorano. In an interview with Graham Bessinger, Rossi revealed the secrecy of the planned test.
That was a very good moment of my life, and Stefano Domenicali from Ferrari called me and say, why we don't try the car? No, we have a track in Fiorano where they try the Formula One. It's a track of one minute track, but is interesting, it's fast, have the hairpin and everything. And I say, okay. We organize this, and we arrive in secret the day before. Because we have to try to keep secret, but that was not secret at the end.
And you actually slept at the track, though.
Yeah, and we stayed in the Enzo Ferrari office alone, me and Uzo. It was an unforgettable moment.
Michael Schumacher was on site to observe the then 25-year-old Rossi's test and labeled the Italian's performance that day as impressive. Rossi would get another test at Fiorano in 2005 to get more experience in an F1 car. This time, he was being assisted by Marc Genet, a Spanish ex-F1 driver who had recently signed to become a test driver for the Scuderia. All of Rossi's Fiorano testing would be put to, and I swear there's no pun intended here, the test. Well, a group test that is. For the first time ever in 2006, Valentino Rossi was set to compete in an F1 testing session with other F1 drivers on the track during a pre-season test at Valencia in Spain in 2006. 8 teams showed up to the test. Rossi would be piloting the F2004, Ferrari's 2004 championship-winning car with a detuned V10 engine. Due to the fact that he was driving an older spec car on lower engine modes, Rossi's test could only be evaluated based on his individual performance as opposed to comparing him to Schumacher and Massa, who were both at the test using the current spec Ferrari. Rossi's first day in the car saw him set no time on the board as he spun during his only installation lap. Rossi would get way more track time the next day, logging 52 laps with a best lap of 1 minute 12.56, which was good enough for 9th on the timing boards. Rossi would struggle throughout the 3 days. Reports even said he went off on the gravel on 4 different occasions. Despite these errors though, Michael Schumacher would come to his defense.
I think it's pretty normal if you know what's going on, and I'm pretty sure most of the people, they understand that when you go out on rain tires and they cool down, it's like on ice. So it's nothing special, but today you will have a good opportunity to run the car properly.
Valentino finished his last day of the test with the 12th fastest time of the 16 drivers, with a 1 minute 12.31, which was less than a second slower than Michael Schumacher's 1 minute 11.64. Rossi finished the day ahead of names like Juan Pablo Montoya and Jarno Trulli. Valentino's performance was held in high regard by many in the Ferrari camp, given the fact that he had little experience in these cars. Rossi, despite his legendary status on 2 wheels, started his career in karting, winning a 1990 regional karting championship in his youth. Despite showing great promise on 4 wheels, the costs to keep going were simply too much for Valentino's family, and they transitioned to mini motorcycles as it was a cheaper alternative. There's an entire split timeline somewhere out there where Valentino Rossi climbed the Formula 1 ladder. However, the opportunity to compete in F1, just as young Rossi had always dreamed of, had finally become tangible following that Valencia test. Ferrari wanted Valentino to race for them and offered him a Formula 1 seat for 2007. Except, it wouldn't be with them, at least not yet. Ferrari's plan was to actually have Rossi race for Sauber on a loan deal, giving him a low-pressure seat he could use to cut his teeth in the sport. Ferrari would then track his progress, and when the time felt right, they'd put him in one of their seats. Many people, including Rossi's own mother, encouraged him to go for it. As a matter of fact, Yamaha was so worried they'd lose out on Rossi to Formula 1 that it actually resulted in them panic signing a young talent they weren't even fully convinced on for 2008. His name was Jorge Lorenzo, and safe to say, the gamble paid off, as he went on to win 3 MotoGP World Championships with Yamaha and go down as one of the best riders of the 2010s. Valentino declined Ferrari's offer and chose to remain in MotoGP with Yamaha. He would go on to miss out on the 2006 World Championship to the late Nicky Hayden after crashing out at the season finale held where else but Valencia. Casey Stoner would win the 2007 championship with Rossi 3rd in the standings. However, after losing these 2 titles, Rossi would fight back, winning back-to-back championships for Yamaha in 2008 and 2009. These championships did not bring an end to Rossi's excursions in F1 cars. Valentino would continue to participate in F1 tests for Ferrari at Mugello in 2008 and Catalunya in 2010. Both of these tests saw Rossi pilot this, the Ferrari F2008, the car responsible for the Scuderia's last Constructors' Championship as of me writing this video. Rossi would pilot the F2008 at Catalunya, but not on F1 tires. These would be GP2 tires instead, slicks. What started out in damp conditions eventually saw Rossi hurl the car around the dry track 68 times, with a best lap of a 1 minute 25.2. Day 2 saw Valentino record a best lap of 1 minute 21.9, over 3 seconds faster than his best lap the day prior. Not only that, but Rossi's lap was only 3/10 slower than the pole lap set by this same car at the hands of Kimi Raikkonen for the 2008 Spanish Grand Prix. In reality though, we have to remember the point I made earlier. Rossi was on GP2 tires, which were slicks, In 2008, F1 cars used groove tires, which were slower. Jenson Button's 2009 pole lap at this track, while using slicks, was a 1 minute 20.5. Alas, this would be Valentino's last serious F1 test. 2010 may have been his last test, but the year prior in 2009, Rossi had one more opportunity to race for Ferrari in Formula 1. This opportunity unfortunately came at the expense of Felipe Massa. We're all aware of the infamous incident in the 2009 Hungarian Grand Prix weekend that saw a spring from Rubens Barrichello's car hit Massa on the head, severely injuring him and ruling him out for the rest of that year. A few names to replace Massa were thrown into the mix, including 7-time world champion Michael Schumacher, who had only been retired for less than 2 seasons. Rossi was another name. Rumors then began spreading that Ferrari were going to put Valentino in the car for the Italian Grand Prix. At that point, Ferrari had given up on its longtime test driver, Luca Badoer, who had showed in his 2 outings for the team that he just didn't have it in him to perform anywhere near the level Ferrari needed him to. What a spectacle it would have been having one of the country's most renowned sports persons driving for the country's most renowned racing outfit at the country's most renowned race. Alas, it wasn't meant to be. Rossi said the time needed for him to get ready was simply impossible, and Ferrari ended up signing Giancarlo Fisichella to take over the reins of the second Ferrari seat for the rest of 2009, with Massa coming back from his injury to race in 2010 and beyond. Valentino remained in MotoGP and continued to add to his stats, retiring in 2021 as the most accomplished MotoGP rider of all time. He may not be behind the wheel of an F1 car now, but he enjoys a full-time career as a GT3 driver and competed at his very first 24 Hours of Le Mans this year with WRT. Rossi in F1 would have been a sight to behold and would have been one of the craziest crossovers in racing history. Luckily, fans got to see Rossi drive an F1 car one more time in the form of a seat swap with Lewis Hamilton, where Lewis would ride his MotoGP Yamaha bike while Rossi would pilot Hamilton's 2017 F1 World Championship winning car, the Mercedes W08. And where better to have that last go in an F1 car than at the place he made his public testing debut, Valencia. My name is Intern, I talk wheel, and thanks for watching.